It's very interesting to see a new film called I Want to Thank the Academy. And it's my great pleasure to be speaking to the Australian filmmaker, now based in Los Angeles, Jonathon James Williams. Jonathon, welcome to Movie Metropolis.
Yeah, hi Peter. Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Good. Good to talk to you. And this is such an intriguing film about your own journey to the US. And I know you've made a number of short films, including a short film that was the basis for this feature film. I want to thank the Academy. So tell me about your journey in doing all this.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's life imitates art, doesn't it? I think so much of what's good about I want to thank the Academy is this sort of unusual experiences in Hollywood and Los Angeles that you come across. I moved here in 2013, and just it's a different atmosphere, especially in the acting and sort of Hollywood. Industry. It's you meet a lot of unusual people and a lot of unusual circumstances. So a lot of that was crafted into the story. So the short film, I shot it in a day, but we shot it on a rooftop in Hollywood, and it's 14 minutes, and it's almost one cut. So we shot on a rooftop. Opens with the character. He's drinking, smoking. He's a little off kilter. But then he walks down from the car park onto Hollywood Boulevard, and then he starts his day working as a costume character, And the way I come up with that was when I was studying at Stella Adler, which is a theater in Hollywood, on
Mm.
Hollywood Boulevard. A buddy of mine, he was from Mexico, and we're on student visas, so you can't work, unless you do it under the counter. And he told me one day, he goes, Johnny, I got to tell you this secret. I go, what is it, man? He goes, those costume characters on the boulevard? I said, yeah, man. He goes, I'm Spider-Man. So I'm like, wow, I just never thought about that. So I thought that's a really great idea for a movie, if I could sort of somehow enter that world. So then cutting back to the short, it's on the boulevard and so forth. And then the character gets an audition, which ends up being a sort of an absolute sort of waste of time, really. And so the character goes there, and the casting director says, "Oh, hey, just you're on a bus, and you're a passenger, and just do it now for me," And I actually got sent on an audition when I first auditioned, and that was the audition. It was for like some Mountain Dew or something like that. And they brought in four of us at the time. And they said, you're in the Austrian Alps and you're looking out the window, And I just thought, look, once again, I just thought it's a waste of time. I don't want to belittle anyone's work, but I thought, man, like, we've all cut time out of our day. Actors just want a chance to perform a couple lines or whatever. It was more like a glorified background role. And I just thought, wow, man. I just thought, wow, what an experience. But anyway, so I incorporated that and so many other stories into the feature film. I want to thank the Academy. And yeah, a lot of it's borderline truth. Yeah.
Okay, what an incredible journey and experience. So tell me about being able to make this feature film now, scripting that, and also finding the actors that are so good in your film.
Yeah, certainly. I got an eye for talent. And I think I've been here almost 10 years. I've been able to network and have some friendships. So 90% of the movie, 90% of the characters in the movie, they're my friends. And I know them, and I've worked with them. We've done theatre and so forth. So I know their range. So I was able to really just get a great, unique set of actors to portray just certain different roles in the movie. And some of them just come on for a couple of minutes and just steal the show. They're really good, and that's why they were picked. But I think it's just a collection of just friendships and time and just connecting with people. Some of these actors have done some incredible work on some massive TV shows or movies, and I was fortunate enough to have them on. I want to thank the Academy, like Rick Peters. He's done some incredible work. Bruce Katzman, He's fantastic in the movie. He's done some incredible work. Um, yeah, so it's just been pretty lucky. And to make the feature film itself, the story, it all began from the short film, which was sort of like, I was just thinking, what can I do? Like, how can I make something? And it's like, it's in the middle of Hollywood, you know? So then after that, and as I mentioned, the Spider-Man idea, which was just a unique, when someone told me about that, I just thought, wow. Because I mean, when I first moved here, I saw the Hollywood guys, Batman, Superman, they walk into like, cafes and get a coffee. And I'm like, wow, man, you're in another world. But then, like I said, I couldn't work out how to make that into a movie. And then, so from the short film, I just sort of progressed with the script, and I thought, hang on, look, let's not bring a cool like Australian guy who's like an Aussie walking around. Like, let's sort of craft a character here and someone unusual and an unusual through line through the movie. We can take a sort of fish out of water character, because when I come to Hollywood, I looked at it from the lens of an Australian, and I worked in construction and so forth. So I had a different mentality, but and I thought, well, let's take the audience through a different mentality through Richard, who's a character. He's sort of like dressed for his from the 1940s or something. He's innocent, sweet. He's funny but silly. You know what I mean? He has all these sort of nice mannerisms, and I think so. How I come up with that character is I'd studied theatre for a while, a couple of years, but I actually got cast in a movie with a pretty well-known director, Brett Leonard, and he directed Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington and all these massive movies. But I got this role. He said, I just want you to be like really Australian, And I said, great. I'm going to come up with this thing like every crazy actor, we come up with these sort of, dangerous acting games. We sort of, you give us a task, we'll come up with something. But I come up with something like Richard, and then during the production, we just didn't shoot Richard, and like he's the boss, he's the king, he's the director, and it just didn't happen. I thought, man, we could have done something really cool, and then that's how Richard sort of come into it with that character. And like I said, it's just a lot of it's just been life experiences that I've just sort of incorporated into the script. And sort of some of the things, yeah, you know what I mean? It's just sort of really just life experiences, most of it, yeah.
Okay. It's interesting your character called Richard Wilkins, because, of course, in Australia we have a Richard Wilkins on TV.
Well, that's who he's named after. Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
So, and the reason is because the whole thing's tongue in cheek. Like, I'm going to shoot you the lookbook, the pitch deck. You can sort of see. I got Richard in that, I got so many other sort of nuanced things. But the reason I picked Richard, it wasn't like, obviously I look nothing like Richard, but I remember growing up in Australia and I'd see Richard on TV. You know what I mean? Talking about entertainment, and he was one. I grew up in the '90s, early 2000s, so he was. That's when I was coming up in my teens. Like, he was one of the only sort of out there entertainment guys. He's got big hair and talking about Hollywood, and I'm a kid who's like inspired by Hollywood. So that's why I just thought Richard Wilkins,
very good.
Yeah.
I noticed a co-writing credit for Daniel Wallner. Tell me
Yeah.
about working with him.
Yeah, Daniel Wallner. He's done some great work. He's did a couple of movies, horror movies, made on Netflix. Sorry, he co-wrote them, and they were distributed by Netflix. So he's done some cool work. Yeah, Daniel brought into the script a lot of cool ideas. A lot of the theatre work was through him. The character of Jack was through Daniel. He did some great things. Where he struggled and where I sort of a portion of this movie sort of stopped. COVID, everything stopped, but it gave me a chance to look at what we'd shot and reshoot what I wanted to do. So, believe it or not, we kind of had, it was just a little bit too much of a drama. And I think what happened was with the script, yeah, it needed to be reworked a bit more into a more comedy and to add more of those mannerisms where I think we've Daniel did some fantastic work. Like some of the script writing was incredible, but it didn't have that comedy tone or that Australian thing, which only a real Aussie would really know. So, but he's a great script writer. We worked together a couple of times, and there's always like a good push and pull between me and him. I think with script writers, you will. I'm a storyteller. I can come up with great stories. I have so many great stories. You know what I mean? I could really pitch anything about a cockroach or anything. I can just come up with a good story. But I'm not a script writer. I've written scripts, and I'm just not that. So that's where the collaboration with the script writer and a storyteller or the filmmaker, there's that special bond. So, and we just sort of nuanced many things and sort of worked it. And as I said, during COVID, when that all happened, I mean, I wasn't an editor. So I just began editing during COVID, just sort of crash bash through it, and then got sort of reasonably okay about it. But that's when I sort of reworked a lot more of the comedy into the movie and reshot some new things about it. But yeah.
Okay. Interesting to hear that. Tell me about, did you have much production budget or whatever behind you? Did you, how did that work?
I called it every favor I could. Yeah, I didn't work. I worked for nothing on the movie. You know what I mean? I self-funded most of it. I didn't. I don't think I got anything out of it. But that's the price of dreams. And filmmakers, you always hear about the filmmaker, what they did to get their feature film made. I mean, I did Lyft, Uber, I did Instacart. I did all these jobs because what they would allow me is my own schedule where I could work like 3 or 4 apps at once, run around, and then I could sort of craft some scenes or tech rehearse some things or like edit or I had this absolute freedom which those jobs provided. So I haven't been paid yet for I Want to Thank the Academy, but it's an investment in my career. And the production budget, it does have a high production value. I mean, because we got incredible locations and actors, and we got some big things. And I mean, even one of my things I like to do is as I said, I'm a storyteller. I can like visualize certain locations. Like we're on Hollywood Boulevard, or we're outside the Oscars when the Oscars are on. Like it's a pretty cool scene. You know what I mean? It's like you don't see that in movies. So like I mean, the way I would get around with not having money. I mean, the crew would get paid. We shot with top of the line equipment and so forth. But how I would sort of truly raise the production value was with great locations and nuanced story plot twists where we just bring in a great location. And I think the key to the movie too is also to when I made the movie, I thought like so many people they're never going to come to Hollywood. You know what I mean? It's on the bucket list, but they'll never get here. But I thought with the movie, you can sort of take them through it with a unique lens, and yeah, that's what we did. So, the production budget, that's a secret, that one. Yeah.
That's all right.
But it's more than you think, and it's less than you know. Yeah.
That's fine. I never ask about actual money. I just want to know if you had production behind you. Tell me then, you said you shot during COVID and so on. Tell me about how many days it took to shoot and whether you used, I got the feeling you used more than one camera in many of the scenes as well.
Yeah, no, it was one camera. So it's just one setup, and we shot on the red camera.
Right.
It was 14 production days, and that was 90 minutes. Now I still have another sort of I had 20 good minutes that I could justify and keep for the movie and stretch it to almost 2 hours. But I left it go. Like incredible performances, incredible locations, and so forth. Great actors that was unfortunately cut from the movie. So I mean, we shot a lot in 14 days, and then there's another sort of half an hour, 45 minutes of footage that just didn't. I mean, like I said, I reworked the script. It was just left on the cutting room floor. So. one thing is, it can be unfortunate sometimes for actors, and you know, you do what's best for the story, and yeah. So 14 days, shot in the red, one camera, and most of it was sort of one or two takes. Like I said, everyone was a really good actor. Like everyone's in theatre. I've worked with them. I've seen their work. I mean, I know. I mean, say Noelle Gibson, who plays the flatmate, like she walked in, and the problem is I'm directing, so and producing and like you know coordinating shots and doing everything, but then also playing Richard. So you do have sometimes the character, sometimes the performance can you're just distracted. You know what I mean? You can't always drop in. This character can drop in pretty quickly creative, but sometimes, you know, if you're on another circumstance, you wouldn't be able to. But then when, say, Noelle jumped in, like, I didn't rehearse with her. I knew her work. And then as soon as we call I call action, I mean, I see a lot of this incredible performance. And I'm like, wow, that just raises your game and everyone else's game as well. But yeah, you know, it's yeah. I don't know.
And of course there's that issue, of course, of directing yourself, and because you are front and center in the film, pretty much most of it. So
Yeah.
that in itself must be somewhat daunting, I suppose, especially in a feature film.
Yeah, yeah, you know, I got over that pretty quick, to be honest with you, Peter. I narrowed it down to an art where I'd only see. I mean, I really, truly subtracted myself from the equation because at the start when I was editing, what I did was assemble the movie. You know, I mean, I done some sort of filmmaking workshops with James Franco. And we used to make movies and stuff, and then we'd bring him in and he'd review them. And like, so it was a real big time masterclass where like you had no money and you had to make stuff for him like weekly. So then I learned how to make and put stuff together, you know. So I put everything, I aligned it all, and then I had this editor on board. But it's a string out, I strung the movie out, you know. So I mean, at the start, I was like, you know, like, you know, you can, but then, like, to be honest with you, Pete, what I said was this: listen, I said, Jonathan, you got to get rid of all the bullshit, all the hang-ups, just yeah, and just this guy, he's a funny idiot, and focus on that. You know what I mean? Like, focus the character, and I really don't see myself at all. I really don't. You know, at the start, like I said, there was a little bit of a, you know, oh man, you know, what about that look or that look or what? But I got rid of that real quick and said, you know, make him a funny idiot, and I really don't see myself anymore at all. Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. Now, tell me about screening the film, because I want to thank the Academy. You mentioned is was Academy eligible for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Oscars, like Crocodile Dundee was many years ago. So tell me about that process.
Yeah, you know, it was a real grassroots Oscar run, you know, and the reason was this, Peter. Like, I didn't have two bob to throw around. You know what I mean? I didn't have studio backing. I didn't have millions in the can for advertising and none of that. But all I had was like a good movie, some good performances. If we had a few $1 million, I mean, the movie would have been a masterpiece, you know, because just a story and a collaboration, we could have really lifted the bar. But what I thought was, hey man, like I want to get this movie some recognition. Whether if I got to stand on Hollywood Boulevard and you know with a bucket and a sign, I'm going to go out and do that. You know, like it's a hill I was going to die on. So with the whole Academy process, I got a lot of friendly fire. People saying to me like, "Well, man, you're completely insane. You're completely ludicrous. You what?" And like, I mean, it does hurt you sometimes, you know, because at the end of the day, what I was trying to do is become one of only a handful of movies that are eligible. And it was just a great goal that I had in mind. So I did everything I could to raise money. We had an Indiegogo campaign. And what everyone was really getting was that they were getting a completed movie. The movie was completed, but we had to raise funding for the Academy campaign. and I really gave it me all, but yeah, we didn't, we weren't able to sort of get on the radar. Deadline did an article about us, where it was a bit more, I thought it was a little bit of a low ball attitude, because instead of going, you know what, hey man, there's this indie guy, this film's like kind of good, and I can see what the guy's doing, but he's not realizing like he's in the big leagues or something like that, you know. But this guy would just nuance on a couple of little sort of things, that I thought was a little bit unworthy of artists. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, it's a hill I was willing to die on, and I mean, I've done everything for this movie, whether it's picking up trash at the end of the day when everyone's gone home and I'm cleaning up the set, or like, you know, paying actors and buying lunches. You know, I did everything, and I did it for the love of the game. And then, you know, this Oscar thing, it was ludicrous, it was madness. I'm so glad I did it. But yeah, like I said, I got a fair bit of unexpected friendly fire, which hurt a little bit. But you know, we did become eligible for Best Picture and Best Actor categories for myself and Bruce Katzman, he's just incredible in it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, how interesting to hear that story. It's what a
Yeah.
journey. So, has the film been screened in cinemas though, in the US and in
Yeah.
Australia?
We had it not in Australia. We had a
Ah,
theatrical run in Los Angeles.
ah,
So some of the qualifying criteria is you have a theatrical run.
yeah.
So we did that, and I'm not sure if I sent you the Instagram link or the handle or social media, TikToks and that, but sometimes I go down the boulevard like dressed as rich and do interviews and so forth, like a, you know, larrikin tongue in cheek sort of thing. So we did a lot of that for the marketing and get people down the movie and that. Look, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. And now the film is released on, is it Plex TV, which I've not heard
Yeah.
of before? Yeah.
Yeah, PlexTV, you know, they're no Netflix, they're no Amazon. So the movie is on Amazon, on Prime. Unfortunately, it's not accessible in the region of Australia, but
Ah,
it is via PlexTV. But also, we just got picked up by Tubi. And do you have Tubi in Australia?
I think we have access to it. Yes.
Yeah, well, so it's going to be on Tubi, but it is available now on Plex TV. They're a big streamer. They have a big reach around the world. You know, they're top 10 now, obviously, in the lower rungs. They're not sort of, you know, up there,
Hmm.
you know, Netflix and that. So on Plex, just got picked up by Tubi. So we're going to be streaming, you know, around the world and to sort of, you know, yeah,
Okay.
hopefully more in Australia. Yeah, yeah, that was a bit of an issue at the initial release. Amazon wouldn't give me access to Australia. I'm like, the movie's made for Australia, you know?
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
bizarre, but Plex
yeah.
TV people can access it. That's terrific. So
Yeah,
tell me about your own career. How did you first become interested in being an actor and now
yeah,
filmmaker,
yeah,
and how your journey is continuing as an actor, I assume?
yeah, yeah. Well, actor, it's, you know, I'm between jobs at the moment, Pete. So if you know anyone, give 'em my email, eh?
Okay.
I work I work for peanut butter sandwiches. Uh, so you know, you know, like I said with Richard Wilkins earlier, you know, I grew up in Gladstone Park, so a little bit of a rough spot, but I was always fascinated by movies. You know, I loved the big '90s action movies. You know, I was really inspired by, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Actually, you know, that's why I sort of you know, touch on his character in the movie. You know what I mean? It's all tongue in cheek, but you know, I think with Arnold, you know, I liked his movies and I liked his story. You know, he was a guy from Austria. He moved to the US and pursued acting
Hmm.
with, you know, everyone laughing at him. You know what I mean? And that's how it is. Like you come here, I mean, it's not easy. You know, it's very tough. But so that was always in my heart as a kid when I learned that story. Hey man, Arnie could do it. Maybe, you know, I could do it. But I had no direction. No one. I didn't know any actors. I didn't know any theatre programs. Like the internet was just sort of young, and I just sort of fell into a career in construction. You know, I become a builder's labourer at 18. I graduated high school. I was going to be a police officer, But in my heart, I wanted to move to Hollywood and become an actor. But like I said, I mean, it was like, moving to, the moon. It's like, how do you get there? How's everyone else do it? So I had no direction. But anyway, as the journey went on, I became a carpenter. Then I worked in tunneling and mining, and like I was all over Australia. Sorry, and I got into this bad accident when I was tunneling, and then it became a real epiphany moment where I really sort of worked out, and I had like a good life, to be honest with you. I was making good money. I was content. I was, I mean, I wasn't, you know, I was at that point where you can just stop and go, hey, you know what? This is good. You know what I mean? And I can just sit here and do this, and life goes on. Or I could take the plunge, walk the plank, and get in the deep end. And that's what I did. And thankfully, and look, I've been blessed by it ever since. It's been a complete uphill battle. It's not easy. It's extremely tough. And I've just been forever enriched by it. Even when I look back studying at Stella Adler Academy of Theatre, they sponsored me as a student for 2 years. So, but looking back, just being sort of in a theatre program, there's so much joy and fun. There's so much education and experience, and you meet so many unique people. That it's just a really, really cool thing. So the acting thing, I've been sort of like really, really into the film for the last 3 years, basically. So I haven't done anything except the buddy in my corner and go, hey, I need to be a cop in this or something, or drive this car. I have a few filmmaker buddies that, I'll do anything. But I'd really not really pursued the acting thing for about 3 years. But until this year, I'm slowly getting back into it. But no, I've done a couple of good little things. No world-breaking opportunities, but certainly I enjoy it. Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting to hear, and I suppose Australians in Hollywood, perhaps to some extent, there is some support there. There's some interest there because there are others who've done that. Yeah, so I suppose that might assist, plus the networking that you've been talking about.
Yeah. So the Australians in Los Angeles, there's some groups online and that. They've been incredible with the movie. Like 90% of them, like, oh wow, man, I'm going to see this and great work, mate. Blah blah blah. And really, really like a shot in the arm. You know what I mean? Because when you're an independent filmmaker, I mean, you need every little win you can squeak. You know what I mean? You need a lot of things to go right. And one thing I say to my wife, I say, you don't realize the hits an actor or a filmmaker take constantly, the no's, the rejections, and the blah blah blah, all the time, all the failed promises, all the failed opportunities, all the rejections, all the no's, like they hurt. You know what I mean? I'm pretty thick-skinned. I'm pretty sort of been around the block. So, but at the end of the day, it adds up, and it's 99 no's and maybe one yes. So when I released the movie, when we're doing the Academy Award run, like I said, I mean, I was getting hammered by some trolls just out of nowhere. And I think, like, well, hang on, smart ass. Why don't you go and do it yourself and then see how easy it is? You know what I mean? But they're all sort of, keyboard warriors, But in saying that, I know I mentioned that earlier, but there were some amazing Aussies that would just reach out to me, from online and go, you know what, mate? I see what you're doing. It's incredible. It's inspiring. I'm in Texas. I'm out here working for Google, or, I'm out here in DC and I work for blah, blah, blah. And good on you, mate. You know what I mean? Like, and it, like I said, it meant the world just to get that little shot in the arm, because you're getting a lot of, enemy fire, and you're getting a lot of no's. So, yeah. So very supportive, the Aussies. The Aussies have been great. Yeah.
Oh, that's terrific. Well, hopefully you'll get more acting roles and perhaps make another film.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm going to meet him next week. Just to solely direct a movie. It's a good opportunity. So it's pretty reasonable budget, and I have a couple of really cool scripts that I'm hoping to get made. And in the madness of madness, I've come up with a sequel to I Want to Thank the Academy, but it's set in Vegas.
Yeah.
Uh, so it's sort of like a Dundee meets Hangover. You know what I mean?
Uh,
But on a much bigger scale with some more recognizable names. So there's a few things I'm working on, but like I said, it's just sort of it's very complicated, but something will break loose soon. Yeah, I'll definitely keep at it. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully, something will. And just before I let you go, it's great talking to you, Jonathan. I must ask you: have you seen recently any other films that impressed you?
Oh yeah, I I saw recently. I saw John Wick 4.
Ah,
It's a little long for me, but what impresses me about John Wick is, I mean, they continually keep retreading the sort of tire with four of them. But you know, just Keanu Reeves, he's no spring chicken, but the incredible amount of work he has to put in to make those performances. I mean, it's incredibly hard to do action and to look good. You know what I mean?
hmm.
It's easy to sort of throw a punch on screen, or shoot a gun, but do you look any good doing it? So I thought I have so much respect and admiration for him. He's just like a wonderful human being. But like I think John Wick, it's harder than it looks. He's really so I really enjoyed that. I saw Creed 2. I like that. Michael B. Jordan. He's pretty cool. I really enjoyed. Have you seen Creed 2?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I like the dynamic between the. I think they had a good plot twist there with the juvenile sort of incident with the between the friends and the different roads in life you can go. So
Yeah.
I like that. I've been watching The Rookie. Have you seen The Rookie?
No.
Oh, that's really good. I've been chewing through the episodes. ABC here in America, it's called The Rookie. It's about an LAPD rookie. He's a 40-year-old rookie. He has a midlife crisis. His marriage fails. He moves from Minnesota to Los Angeles and joins the LAPD. And just an incredible. I think it's a really good TV show. You should check out. But I'm going to ask you a quick question. What did you like most about the movie? What was your favorite scene?
I want to thank the Academy.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Well, I thought the engaging with the various superhero type characters and on the streets of Hollywood. I thought I wonder if you're going to have any trouble with anyone there and using those locations, etc. I thought
Yeah,
that sort of stood out to me. That's good guerrilla filmmaking, I thought.
yeah, definitely. It's some unique editing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the general public there, so um, guerrilla filmmaking, you can film handheld, as long as you're not stopping traffic and sort of doing all this sort of like
yeah.
crazy stunts and that. But yeah, you can film like that, and yeah, some good editing, just sort of because
Ah.
there was other scenes where like you would just have an extra just standing in there, and then looking straight at the camera. You know what I mean? And send it up to me VFX buddy and go, can we do anything about this person here? And they go, sorry about that. Yeah, we can't. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, look, congratulations on the film, available on Plex TV. I want to
Yeah.
thank the Academy, and it's been my great pleasure to be speaking to the director and star of I Want to Thank the Academy, Jonathon James Williams. Jonathan, thanks so much for talking with me.
Thanks, Peter. I really appreciate it.
All the best.
See you, mate.
See you later. Bye bye.